Today we're talking about some of the best, unique roguelike games out there. You know, the kind of stuff that's not just fun, but actually does something a little different. Whether it's the gameplay, the art style, or just the whole vibe, these games will keep you hooked for hours. So yeah, let's just jump right into it. The Roulette Hero. Okay, so this game is actually really unique, and it's one of the most innovative roguelike games I've played in years. The central idea alone makes it stand out from anything else in the genre, and its execution is surprisingly refined for such an experimental game. So here, you're fighting with your squad, and instead of choosing attacks or cards to play like in normal roguelikes, you're literally rolling a roulette wheel to decide what occurs during each fight. This establishes a completely new rhythm of gameplay that feels new and random in a very exciting way. You're basically putting together a wild squad of creatures, and each one's got its own thing going on. Some hit like a truck and wreck enemies, some are just tanks that soak up hits to protect the weaker ones, and some just mess with the bad guys by throwing out status effects and debuffs to screw up their plans. There's so much variety in what these animals can do, it keeps the game fun and fresh no matter how long you play. There's over 100 animal characters spread across 13 different species, and each one's got its own vibe, special moves, and works better with certain teammates. The devs really went all in to make sure every animal looks unique and plays differently. As you move forward in the game, you'll start unlocking stronger, more specialized creatures that can totally switch up how you play and fight. The roulette element of it really does work well. It's not just spinning randomly as you might first be worried about. The developers have managed to balance the risk and reward factors nicely, so that experienced players can still make a difference even with the element of luck. You spin the wheel, and what it lands on decides whether your animals attack, defend, use special powers, or perform some crazy combos together. Each time you play, you have different animals, different rules, and different enemies, so you're constantly experimenting with new things and learning new tactics. The developers also regularly update content, adding new animals and features on a regular basis to keep the experience new. Also, just in case you're interested, there's a free public playtest of the game available on Steam right now. The demo provides a good flavor of what the whole game is like, and you can play through the main mechanics and get to know some of the animal characters before shelling out cash. The controls are simple, and there's a useful tutorial that guides you through the fundamentals without flooding you with information. In minutes, you'll be spinning the wheel and ordering your animal army like a pro. I've added a link in the description if you're interested in having a look. The download isn't too large, so you can be active in no time. The Hades. Man, Hades is one of those games that just hooks you and doesn't let go. Easily one of the most addictive roguelikes out there. You play as Zagreus, the rebellious son of Hades, trying to bust out of the underworld. Sounds simple, but it's pure freaking chaos here. You're dashing around like a madman, slicing up enemies, dodging like your life depends on it, because it literally does, and clearing rooms that change every time you play. And then there's the boons, basically divine cheat codes from the Greek gods. Zeus, Poseidon, Athena, each one gives you different buffs and skills, and the way they shake up every run is just chef's kiss. One moment you're electrocuting everyone with chain lightning, the next you're stacking doom effects and watching enemies explode in slow motion. It's all about experimenting, even if that means dying like a mad scientist mid-test. But here's the thing, dying doesn't suck in this game. You respawn back at the House of Hades, get some more juicy story bits, chat with cool characters, and unlock new stuff like weapons or mirror upgrades. The game just keeps giving, even when you fail. The lore is rich, the writing sharp, and the vibe is straight up badass. It's not just a roguelike, it's a game you actually get attached to. Easily one of the most polished and rewarding games I've played. The Binding of Isaac Rebirth. So The Binding of Isaac might look like a simple little game at first, just a sad kid running around a creepy basement crying on enemies, but trust me, it's way deeper than it seems. The whole thing kicks off with Isaac hiding from his super religious mom, and then bam, you're tossed into this weird, messed up world full of dungeons, monsters, and more bizarre items than you can count. At first, it's just a basic twin-stick shooter. You walk around, shoot tears, kill some monsters, cool, but then the game starts throwing these random items at you. Some will turn you into an absolute god, and others will straight up ruin your entire run, and you never know what you're gonna get. That's the fun part. Item synergies are where the magic happens. One minute you're stuck with trash gear and thinking it's game over, and then out of nowhere, boom, you get something insane like Brimstone or Sacred Heart, and suddenly you're melting everything on screen. It's that constant chaos and unpredictability that makes this game so damn addictive. Every run's different. New items, new rooms, new secrets, new heartbreak. There are a bunch of characters to unlock too, and each one plays super differently. Some are fun, fun, some are a nightmare, and yeah, sometimes you get cursed with something like Cursed Eye and just want to throw your keyboard out the window, but that's part of the charm. Isaac, Rebirth is wild, frustrating, and borderline unfair sometimes, but man, it's hard to put down. You keep coming back for just one more run, and then it's 4 a.m., and you're crying real tears, just like Isaac. Enter the Gungeon. Enter the Gungeon is pure, beautiful chaos. It's a bullet hell roguelike where you're constantly dodge rolling through waves of ridiculous enemies while trying not to get absolutely wrecked. The game doesn't hold your hand either. It just throws you in and basically says, good luck, sucker. You start by picking a character, each with their own little perks, and then you dive into this dungeon, or, well, gungeon, packed with some of the weirdest enemies you'll ever see. Seriously, the designs are straight up goofy in the best way possible. But the real showstoppers? The boss fights. Some of them will have you feeling like an untouchable god, while others will wipe that smug grin off your face in 5 seconds flat. And don't even get me started on the guns. There are so many, and they are all over the place. You've got guns that shoot fish, bees, rainbows, you name it. Some of them are insanely overpowered, and others feel like a bad joke, but in a fun way. That's where the real magic kicks in. Finding those broken weapon combos that suddenly make your run go from I'm doomed to I'm unstoppable. But let's be honest, this game is brutal. You'll die a lot. Some runs feel blessed by RNG gods. Others will give you nothing but garbage. It hurts. But the second you die, you're already hitting play again, because maybe this next run is the one. It's fast, it's tough, it's hilarious, and it's one of the most stylishly crafted roguelikes out there. Dead Cells. Dead Cells is one of those games that'll absolutely wreck you, make you rage for a minute, and then somehow make you feel like an unstoppable beast. All within the same run. It's a slick mix of roguelike and Metroidvania, where you play as this weird little blob of cells that jumps into dead bodies and goes full beast mode across a cursed island that's always shifting. Every run's a clean slate. You grab different weapons, abilities, and mutations. Some runs you're slicing through enemies with twin broadswords, other times you're raining fire grenades from above while dodging like a ninja with a bow. The build variety is nuts, and that's a huge part of what makes it so fun. Now let's be real, you're gonna die a lot. Sometimes from a boss that just decides to end your career, sometimes from a random enemy you didn't see coming, but every death teaches you something. You keep unlocking weapons, upgrading your gear, and figuring out how to survive a little longer each time. What makes it hit different is how tight the gameplay feels. Attacking, dodging, learning enemy patterns, it's all buttery smooth. The levels are randomly generated, but they don't feel lazy. There's still structure, secrets, and branching paths that keep things fresh even after dozens of runs. Whether you're just chilling or going full sweat on the hardest difficulty, Dead Cells keeps you locked in. It's tough, stylish, and stupidly addictive. Just prepare yourself, because that one more run feeling, yeah, it's real. Broto. Alright, so Broto is this top-down auto shooter where you play as a potato with a serious grudge and an even more serious arsenal. Like, imagine a potato dual-wielding shotguns, chucking shurikens, and swinging sticks all at once. Sounds dumb, but it's brilliant. The idea is super simple. Survive wave after wave of increasingly insane enemies while stacking up the most busted build you can. That's it. That's the game. But somehow, it's addictive as hell. It's a roguelike, yeah, but instead of creeping through dungeons, you're just out here being a walking murder spud. Early on, it's chill. You move around, pick up XP, dodge a few baddies, let your weapons do their thing. Then suddenly, the screen's covered in enemies, materials are flying everywhere, and you're either mowing them down like a legend or praying you get to the next shop with your last sliver of HP. What makes Broto hit different is the build variety. You can go full berserker with blades and fists, or stack armor and lifesteal until you're basically unkillable. The game throws all sorts of weird classes at you too. Some are just broken in the best way if you know how to use them. It's chaotic, it's goofy, and somehow it just works. You pop in for a quick run, and 3 hours later, you're still tweaking builds, thinking, okay, this time I'll make the perfect potato. Total time waster in the best way. Cult of the Lamb. Cult of the Lamb is one of those games that tricks you with the art style. You see the cute little lamb and think, oh, this will be wholesome, and then bam! You're summoning demons and sacrificing your followers to some ancient god. It's wild. You start off literally about to be sacrificed, but some creepy dark entity saves your fluffy butt, and now you owe them big time. So naturally, you start a cult in their name, and that's where the game gets really fun. It's like someone took Hades and Animal Crossing, smashed them together, and added a demonic twist, and somehow It totally works. Half the time, you're doing classic roguelike stuff, diving into these procedurally generated dungeons, smacking enemies around, collecting loot, and taking down some nasty bosses. You get different weapons and powers every run, so it always feels fresh, but then you head back to your cult and it flips into a whole management sim. You're building little shrines and farms, cooking food, and making sure your brainwashed followers don't die from starvation or poop diseases. You can preach sermons, unlock crazy upgrades, and yeah, you can totally sacrifice one of them if they get annoying, no judgment. You can customize a ton too, like naming your cult, tweaking doctrines, and even changing what your followers look like. It's one of those games where there's always something to do, whether you're deep in a dungeon or just messing with your cult base. It's adorable, it's dark, it's hilarious, and it's weirdly addictive. Rogue Legacy 2. If you've played the first Rogue Legacy, you know the drill, but Rogue Legacy 2, it takes everything and cranks it up to 11. The core loop of dying, upgrading, and jumping back into the chaos is still there, but now it feels smoother and way more refined. Plus, the class variety, insane. Every time you start a run, you're picking from 3 randomly generated heirs, each with their own class, weapons, and some wild traits. Some are totally ridiculous and will have you laughing, while others make you wish you were playing anything else as you try to survive. The classes themselves are super unique. Like, the samurai is all about precision and slicing through enemies, while the boxer is just throwing rapid punches like a human wrecking ball. Yeah, you'll die a lot, but every failure just pushes you to come back and give it another go. The best part? The permanent upgrades. Even if you have a rough run, you're still making progress, unlocking better gear, abilities, and upgrading your castle. It's one of those games where failure isn't a setback, it's just part of the journey. All in all, Rogue Legacy 2 is a huge step up from the first game. If you never played the original, don't sweat it, you can dive right into this one and still have a blast. The Inscription. Inscription is one of those games that messes with your mind in the best way. At first, it seems like a dark, atmospheric deck building game, but the deeper you get, the crazier it gets. You start out stuck in this creepy cabin, playing cards against this unsettling dude with glowing eyes, but before long, you realize it's not just about cards. It's an escape room, a psychological horror, and a mind-bending experience all wrapped into one. The cards talk to you, the atmosphere is straight up unsettling, and every time you think you've got it figured out, the game pulls the rug out from under you. The deck building mechanics are addictive, especially with the whole sacrifice your creatures to summon better ones thing, adding this layer of strategy. But just when you think you're getting comfortable, the game throws in a wild twist, and suddenly you're questioning everything. By the time you hit the later acts, you're knee-deep in some ARG-style storytelling, and trust me, if you dive into it, things get pretty deep. Inscription is a slow-burn descent into madness, and I absolutely loved every second of it. It's one of those games that's straight up terrifying and strange. If you're into weird, atmospheric games with a twist, you need to check it out. Risk of Rain 2. You start out weak, like embarrassingly weak, running around with a puny little pea shooter trying to take on enemies, but trust me, give it 10 minutes and you're gonna feel like a freaking powerhouse. You'll be jumping all over the place, launching missiles and obliterating bosses in just a few seconds. It's wild. The power scaling in this game is insane, and honestly, that's what keeps you hooked. The gameplay loop is simple, but it's got that magic mix that just works. You land on a new planet, start mowing down enemies, grab loot, and just keep going. But here's the kicker. The longer you hang around, the harder the game gets. Like, real quick, enemies that start out as total pushovers will turn into full-on nightmares if you stay too long. The game really makes you think about that risk versus reward situation every time you play. Do you farm for more items and take the risk of getting wrecked later? Or do you rush to the next stage and get out before the enemies level up too much? It's always a tough call, and it's that constant decision-making that makes the game so damn addictive. And on top of that, every character is different. You've got your Commando, who's pretty basic but reliable as hell, Huntress, who's all about speed and mobility, Engineer, who kicks back and lets his turrets do all the work, and then there's Loader. All in all, Risk of Rain 2 is the perfect mix of roguelike randomness with just enough challenge to make you want to come back for more every time you die. It's the kind of game where each run feels different, and even when you're getting wrecked, you just want to dive right back in for just one more run. Tiny Rogues. Tiny Rogues is like this perfect mix of bullet hell, roguelike dungeon crawling, and RPG mechanics all wrapped up in this super charming pixel art style. The game kicks off by letting you pick a class, and each class has its own unique vibe. Once you've made your choice, you're off to dive into randomly generated rooms filled with enemies, loot, and all kinds of challenges. The combat in Tiny Rogues is tight, smooth, and honestly pretty satisfying. It's got that feel of Vampire Survivors crossed with Enter the Gungeon, but with RPG elements items tossed in for good measure. You're not just picking up random weapons and hoping for the best. Nah, you're getting different spells, gear, and weapons that you can mix and match to create some crazy synergies. As you keep progressing, you level up, boost your stats, and turn into a total powerhouse. But don't get too cocky, this game is tough. Like, real tough. Each new floor ups the ante, enemies throw more complicated attack patterns at you, and you'll need to dodge and think on your feet. If you don't plan your build and adapt quickly, the bosses will wipe the floor with you, and trust me, they've got unique moves that'll have you sweating. If you slip up, it's straight back to the beginning. But that's what makes it so damn addictive. You die, but you're always thinking, maybe next time, I'll make it further. Tiny Rogues is the kind of game that's fast-paced, rewarding, and packed with challenges. It'll push you to the limit, but once you've got the hang of it, you'll be hooked. Every run feels fresh, and each time you die, you can't help but want to jump right back in. It's the perfect blend of difficulty and fun. Vampire Survivors. Vampire Survivors is one of those games that starts off deceptively chill and slowly turns into a full-on chaos fest. You pick a character, get dropped onto a map, and at first it seems like a breeze. Enemies start trickling in and you're thinking, okay, I got this. Fast forward 5 minutes and suddenly the screen is absolutely flooded with enemies. You're dodging, weaving, and your weapons are going off on their own like it's a bullet hell game. It's like an arcade fever dream, and the game's magic is in how it ramps up from easy to, holy crap, I'm about to die, in such a short amount of time. Here's the thing, you're barely controlling anything. You only move around while your weapons fire automatically, so the trick is all about smart positioning and knowing what to upgrade. If you nail the right combos and power-ups, you'll go from running scared to literally mowing down thousands of enemies like it's nothing. And that's the loop. You die, you upgrade, and then you dive back in. Before you know it, hours have flown by, your fingers are sore, and you're telling yourself just one more run, even though you know you're lying to yourself. And the best part is that Vampire Survivors is dirt cheap, runs on practically any device, and yet somehow manages to be one of the most satisfying experiences out there. The pixelated design is nostalgic and refreshing, and the whole thing is pure dopamine. If you love roguelikes or just need a quick and fun way to kill some time, this game is a must-play. It's gained a cult following for good reason. Astral Ascent. Astral Ascent is a beautiful 2D action roguelike that feels like a love child between Hades and Dead Cells, but with its own sleek, stylish vibe. You play as one of 4 escapees trapped in a celestial prison battling against Zodiac bosses. The whole premise gives off this mythic, epic feel, but it's the gameplay that really shines. Combat is fast, flashy, and way more engaging than your typical roguelike. It's not about mindlessly spamming attacks, you actually customize a set of spells, which you cycle through during combat. This keeps each run fresh and exciting, making every playthrough feel unique. And the movement? Smooth as hell. Double jumps, dashes, wall climbing, it all makes exploration feel effortless and fluid. It's not just about the combat though. The story in Astral Ascent is surprisingly captivating, especially for a roguelike. It keeps you hooked, and you'll probably find yourself invested in the narrative more than you'd expect from a game in this genre. You'll be too busy exploring, fighting, and uncovering the story to notice that you're playing a roguelike. And let's not forget about the art style. This game is a visual treat. The world feels like a dreamy, hand-drawn painting. Every frame oozes with so much detail and care that it's clear the devs put a lot of work into making the game visually stunning. It's got this otherworldly vibe that just pulls you in, adding another layer to the experience. If you're into 2D fantasy games with smooth combat, engaging storylines, and breathtaking art, Astral Ascent is definitely worth checking out. It's a roguelike done right, and I can't recommend it enough to anyone who's into this kind of game. Returnal. Alright, imagine taking a fast-paced third-person shooter, adding in some roguelike elements, and sprinkling in a healthy dose of psychological horror. That's Returnal for you. You play as Celine, a badass astronaut who crash lands on an alien planet that's as strange as it is dangerous. But here's the kicker. Every time you die, the world resets and you start all over again. Sounds frustrating, right? Well, trust me, it's addictively fun. The real charm of Returnal is in how it blends this roguelike loop with a gripping narrative that keeps you hooked, even as you crash and burn. Over and over again, when it comes to combat, Returnal is smooth, fast, and relentless. If you've ever played Doom Eternal, you'll feel right at home. But instead of just mowing down enemies, you're dodging bullet hell style attacks where enemies flood the screen with glowing projectiles. It's chaos in the best way possible. You'll constantly be jumping, dashing, and weaving through enemy fire, all while trying to dish out damage with an arsenal of unique weapons. From a basic pistol to a lightning gun that chains between enemies, each weapon feels satisfying to use in its own way. One One of the coolest parts of Returnal is the random perks and upgrades you get with each run. This makes every attempt feel different, adding a layer of unpredictability that keeps things fresh. You'll die a lot, lose your precious upgrades, and feel the sting of starting from scratch, but when you finally get into the rhythm, it all pays off. The sense of progress is real, and the game becomes incredibly rewarding once you start getting better at dodging and shooting your way through the chaos. But Returnal isn't just about shooting things up. There's a mystery to unravel. You're trapped in this strange cycle, and as you piece together the story, you'll uncover the eerie, psychological horror elements that make the game feel so much more than just a simple shooter. The whole atmosphere of the game, combined with its stunning visuals, adds to the unsettling feeling that something isn't quite right. In the end, Returnal is a game that knows how to push you to the edge of frustration, but rewards you handsomely for sticking with it. It's the perfect roguelike for people who love a challenge, have a bit of patience, and are up for a wild, mind-bending ride. Dome Keeper. Imagine being stranded on a desolate alien planet and the only thing keeping you alive is a glass dome. You've got your trusty gear and that's about it. This is Dome Keeper, a survival tower defense hybrid that has you constantly teetering between life and death. The whole game is a tense balancing act. You're digging through the planet's surface, frantically searching for resources to upgrade your weapons and defenses, all while the ominous threat of an enemy wave hangs over your head. Never really feel safe, and that's what makes it so addictive. The gameplay is simple, but it's the decisions that make it intense. You're constantly weighing whether to dig deeper for more resources or rush back to defend your dome before the next wave hits. That pressure keeps you on edge the whole time. You'll be digging, upgrading, and defending until you're almost sleep deprived, thinking just one more run and suddenly it's dawn. The addictive loop of gathering resources, upgrading your defenses, and surviving wave after wave is a killer combination. The upgrades are what keep things fresh. You can make your drill faster, improve your jetpack for faster movement, or beef up your weapons for more firepower. Every upgrade feels like a small victory, but there's always that nagging feeling that you're just one wave away from being overwhelmed. It's that tension that makes the game so compelling. You're constantly balancing survival, efficiency, and firepower, and every choice matters. And then there's the feeling of progress. Once you manage to hold off wave after wave and dig deeper into the planet's core, you get that rush of success, but the game never lets you stay too comfortable. It's always upping the ante, making you feel that sense of urgency as you push deeper. The sense of isolation in Dome Keeper is palpable. There's a feeling of being alone, but also hyper-aware of the dangers closing in around you. Ultimately, Dome Keeper is one of those games where just one more run can easily turn into a whole night of digging, defending, and barely scraping by. If you're into roguelikes that mix in strategy and survival elements, this game is definitely worth checking out. It's the kind of game that gets its hooks in you and doesn't let go, making you want to push further, upgrade smarter, and maybe, just maybe, survive that next wave. Darkest Dungeon. Darkest Dungeon isn't your typical RPG, and it definitely isn't a feel-good game. In fact, it's a game that will straight up break you. If you think you can just grind levels and steamroll enemies, you're in for a rude awakening. This game is brutal. Your squad isn't just battling monsters, they're battling their own minds, they get stressed out, they panic, they develop phobias, and worst of all, they die. Permanent. And sometimes, they don't even die in battle. Nope, they might have a heart attack from sheer terror, or bleed out because you ran out of bandages. Yeah, this game doesn't care about your feelings at all. You're constantly struggling in every dungeon, trying to balance your squad's physical health, mental stability, and your limited supplies. It's a game where every decision feels like it could be your last. That hero you've been relying on, they might lose their mind, refusing to do their job, or worse, die at the worst possible moment because you pushed just a little too far into the dark. The tension is palpable, and if you're not careful, the entire team could descend into madness and chaos, with no one making it out alive. But here's the crazy thing, it's so damn good, the stakes are high, and every successful run feels like a massive accomplishment. When you finally manage to pull off a win, barely escaping with your squad intact, there's a sense of relief that's hard to find in other games. The stress and strategy mesh together perfectly, making each dungeon crawl feel tense and rewarding at the same time. You'll rage quit, come back, rage quit again, and then dive right back in because it's just that addictive. Darkest Dungeon is one of those games where the challenge and the feeling of failure are baked right into the experience. You're not just fighting monsters, you're fighting against time, sanity, and your own limits. If you're up for something punishing that will make you question your every decision, this is the game to throw yourself into. You might not win every time, but you'll be damn glad you kept trying.